board games in app forms. What do we think of it? Coming up.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Today we're going to talk about those apps, not Tabletop Simulator, not Tabletopia or Board Game Arena, but the apps specifically is the digital adaptation of board games. So we've got a few here that we've played so far.
Yep, I think I could think of 5.
The most recent one is Roll for the Galaxy.
Yep.
The Steam software on the computer that we played.
Yep.
And then the second last one was Terraforming Mars.
Yep. And then a while back we've also played some of the classic gateways, Carcassonne.
Splendor, I played.
Yep. Pandemic.
Ticket to Ride.
And Lords of Waterdeep.
Yes. So they've been around for a while. There's also Through the Ages. Do you know that?
I haven't seen that on app. I've seen it on BGA. But...
I've got it.
Okay.
But I haven't actually played. There's a Ancient Fladder. It's so funny. Ancient Fladder as your the tutorial person that tells like the designer Fladder. Anyways, yes. Yes. Sorry. So what do you think, Tarrant?
The apps. So the apps in general, they've played through the games pretty well, especially when you're familiar with the game.
If you're familiar with the game, if you don't, that's probably where you have to follow the tutorial.
Yeah, I think what works very well with this sort of thing is that it does let you play a game quickly. It lets you play a game.
Online.
We've used them on a shared iPad while traveling, on an aeroplane, when waiting in long Disneyland queues.
We'll play Carcassonne, yeah.
Yep. So I think that sort of thing works really well. It makes it portable. They don't all translate perfectly well. And I think...
Depends on what makes you want to play board game.
Yeah, I think certainly not having the tactile elements is... everyone loves picking up meeples and little pieces and cubes and stacking them when someone's taking too long and painting minis and all that sort of thing. Packing games away.
And pack everything on the lid rather than the box. The base.
Yep, all the things people love to do.
Of course.
So obviously you don't get that, and that's you don't expect that when you're on a computer. It's all fine.
The thing is, a lot of board gamers are also console or video gamers. Like I used to play a lot of video games and computer games before I jumped to board games.
Yeah.
So that actually takes me back to that. Like I'm quite familiar with, and I think a lot of the interface is similar to those computer games and console games.
Yeah. It reminds me of some of those old games. I think there's one thing that doesn't translate well, and that's cards, particularly cards with text.
Right.
I think when you're playing live and you've got the table and you've got your hand of cards and you're reading through them, it all works fine. But when you're on an app, particularly if you're not familiar with the cards, often you have to bring cards up one at a time to look at them or activate them.
I remember that, like Terraforming Mars, for example, as well.
Terraforming Mars was like that. We're pretty familiar with that game, so it wasn't too hard to pick that up. You still had to search through the cards individually.
That's true, actually.
The icons were a little bit different in colour because they hadn't just scanned the card in. They futurized it a little bit. Roll for the Galaxy was similar. Much less text and easier things to interpret, but it had that issue. Lords of Waterdeep very much had that issue. You had to bring up the cards and read them. And even to a limited extent, Pandemic in the app we played, but I think that was only because the cards were kind of off to the the side. There wasn't enough room in the interface for them to all be
There's
used. So you had
not
to,
a lot of cards in Pandemic though, but
there's no text to read in those, but you did have to know where the cards were.
that's actually true. I mean, that's part of learning new digital games of like app for computer games or whatever. But Pandemic, it's like when it gets automated, then that's really really good. It's the disease got distributed automatically.
Yeah.
And in Roll for the Galaxy, you can even hit the auto button to distribute the dice, although then you can assign to the lock space as well again.
Yeah, that's where I think that's where the app versions of games do flourish, is that they introduce things that make the game easier to play. So that one, the example you had there with Roll for the Galaxy, you can just hit auto, and whatever step you're in, the game is going to take the most obvious action with what you've got, and then you've got the flexibility to move it around, but it's going to, instead of having to click all eight coloured dice and put them into your cup, you can just tell the game, well, obviously I've got $8 and I've got $8 dice that are better than the white ones. Put them in right away. So,
I know. It's like, and I guess it's a challenge of changing from from board game to digital game is like the space where is the focus where your eyes are seeing. Like the cards, there's no way you can include all the cards all at once. In physical games, you can just lay it out. You can just like go through it. Like it's right there for you to just flick your eyes around. But in there, how do you? That's again, as I say, it's a challenge of which one you pick to be the main screen, which one is the screen. It's kind of like a different one. And I actually wonder if there's anyone out there, and please write in the comment section, if anyone out there that has played Terraforming Mars Digital but has not played the board game. So how is it? And then you play the board game later, rather than the board game first and then the app later. I don't know how that's going to translate. That'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I think I'd really struggle with that. I think because just not having the cards fanned in front of me, I think I would really struggle with that. And it not being as easy to see the cards everyone else is playing and how they're making that work.
I guess that's the challenge again with the app, where you can't see that all at once, the space, the limited space.
Especially if you're on a phone as well. Because you've got to shrink everything right down.
Yeah. I heard... but I've seen Cartographers has got an app recently.
Oh, yeah?
We haven't actually got a chance to play it, but I heard it's really good. I mean, it doesn't actually require... It is an app, and it doesn't require a lot of space, as you know it, Cartographers. So it'll be interesting to maybe give it a go.
Yeah, it probably cleans up the board, because that's a roll and write where you've got colours or different patterns that can kind of blur into each other. So
yeah, that's true. Like we play, actually got the prototype of Cartographer's Heroes, and I tried to color it with coloring pencil, and it goes everywhere on my hands, on my face. But it's fun. Fun to do that.
Yeah. I think one of the other features that I really enjoyed in the Carcassonne app was it kind of helped my understanding of the game. Was it would tell you when there is, and it may have been an option you could toggle, but it would tell you when there was no longer a tile that existed that would go somewhere. Because then you knew you could ignore it. And it's kind of, I guess that information's always available in the tabletop game if you can count every tile and you know what's left. But no one plays Carcassonne like that. Very few.
Yes.
But yeah, with the app, it was like, okay, well, I know that this little space where I was trying to finish that city no longer has a tile that can legally be placed there. So, all right, let's ignore that side of the board, or let's use what's there to like connect it to a city that Stella's on, and then she can't close that either. And it was helpful for understanding of the game.
I know that I mentioned we're talking about the app that only relates to the game, but I have to bring this up as well. Board Game Arena. Although it's kind of like a digital one, it's not quite like sandboxy Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, where you can break the rules. It doesn't do anything for you. It won't detect you breaking the rules. Board Game Arena is fully scripted as far as I know it, as far as I've played some of the games. So it's almost like it's on app, almost, I think. We played King Domino recently, and it won't let you continue to the next step until you do certain things. I played Hanabi, which is really good. And it actually, it's kind of like, I like it because it reminds me of what clue I have for the cards. Although it kind of like, it's stripped that sort of thing if you play the
Strips
game.
the memory
The
part.
memory
of the
part,
game.
which is good for me. I'm not really good at that. Anyways, and then there's also Libertalia, which, you know, do things automatically, which is, it's almost like an app almost, I think.
Yep. It was the first time we'd played Libertalia, and
Yes. It's a bit hard for kids.
I will say I didn't get the flow for the game without moving the pieces manually, and maybe I think that's a big part of the transition. I think
That's correct.
learning a game tactile and then transitioning it to app. For me personally, I think that's the only way to do it.
Because that's why I think that most of them are expected that you play the board game, the physical game, before playing that digital version of the game. Most of them anyway, I think. You tell me what you think. I just need to know. I mean, you probably play a lot more than us, the board game to app. I know that's like, they keep bringing out, like Root has got it now. I can't think of anything on top of my head, but I'm sure there are plenty. Just let me know how your experience and what you think, or you even are the developer or thinking about bringing your board game into that sort of app. Why would you do that? You know, obviously there's a demand for it. It's very popular, and then you bring it that way. Gloomhaven app, sorry, that's it. There's a game as well, Gloomhaven. Digital Gloomhaven. So yeah. Anything else that you want to share, Tarrant?
I guess the one other thing with apps, and I think BGA in particular is notorious for it in some stories I've heard, is the absence of takesy-backsies.
Oh, right, yes.
Especially in BGA, you click that button, it's gone.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, we can do that.
A friend talking about playing Madeira and a game of that complexity and not being able to take back when you click on the wrong pirate or something. It's,
Ouch. That's gonna hurt, I guess. So that's it. Again, let us know what you think, and if you enjoy this, if you could please hit that like button, that'll help us, and subscribe to us if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell so you get notification. I'm also on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so if you're there, say hello, and that's it. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.